everybody. Welcome to Political Tea Talk. I am so excited. We have a very good show today. Thank you, everybody, for coming and wanting to spill tea with us. We have a very good show packed for you guys, and we're so excited to get into everything and break some things down. I have some very special guests. Over here, we have Garden State Angie. And down here we have What Jay Said on TikTok. I'm so excited to have both of them here with us to break everything down. I mean, it's been a lot going on this week, not just in the TikTok streets, but there's just been a lot going on. So first I would like to give Angie an opportunity. Tell us about her and you know, and all of that. Tell us about her or whatever.
Hi, and I'm Angie, and I have a platform for um, just about everything, but mostly politics. But I try to make it at least a little bit engaging for everybody. Hi.
So she's Garden State Angie on TikTok. If you guys are not following her, make sure that you go and follow her and support her on TikTok. She has some awesome content. I love the way she talks on there. She's awesome. Got a really soft voice. I love it. And then down here we have What Jay Said, my girl. She's here with us. She came in with us, and I didn't know she was on the move, but she still came, and I'm just so excited that she decided to join us. Jay, just tell us whatever you want us to know. And
well, I am What Jay Said on TikTok. I am friend of Doubledeemuva and all the magnificent politics that she does and news cover that she does. So I'm happy to be here. I am also a freelance editor, writer, based out of St. Louis, Missouri. You can follow me again on TikTok at What Jay Said.
yes, you guys go and follow her on TikTok. She does some really good content as well. She does all types of content. She does political content, and she also does what I call common sense content, because she gives a lot of education on her platform, and I really enjoy it. So you guys make sure you go and follow her at What Jay Said on TikTok. Do you guys have Instagram or anything y'all wanted to throw out there, or Twitter?
You can follow me on Instagram at author JB Harris. That's author AUTHOR. The letter J, the letter B, then Harris, HARRIS.
Mine is Angie L. .83 on Instagram.
Awesome. All right, you guys. So we got a packed show. We're gonna get into the very first thing. Well, the latest thing that has happened this week is the January 6th commission has now it's DOA. It's gone. There's no more voting on that. Well, I will say that Chuck Schumer did say he will bring it down to the floor again at a later date, but the Republicans did kill that on the vote today. But I will just go into what happened and what led up to this, because there was a big week this week as far as that was concerned. A lot of people were expecting it, and it killed. The first thing that happened was a lot of the Republicans came out and said that they wouldn't support it. We had top Republican Mitch McConnell that came out and said that he will not support it, and then he actually started lobbying his people who owed him favors and asking them not to vote. And it was actually not to vote for it. And it was actually, it was quite surprising, because people really don't lobby for things like this, for a commission. They don't usually ask people not to vote for it. You know, this is usually something dealing with money. They lobby when they're dealing with money, not this. Then we had Brian Sicknick's mother, the officer that was the Capitol police officer that was killed. His mother actually came down and was meeting with lawmakers, was meeting with members of the GOP and asking them to support this commission, because she wants to know what led up to her son's passing. And she spent all day down there lobbying, but they still didn't vote for it. I actually have a clip I wanted to play speaking about Mitch McConnell and what he did. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll dive right into it.
in the last 24 hours that McConnell has doubled down, started reaching out to particular senators he was afraid might be wavering, and asked them to vote against the commission, quote, as a personal favor, John.
Jamie, it is not unprecedented. It actually happens frequently that a leader asks members of the caucus, Democrats and Republicans, I need this one. You have to take one for the team. But this is not any vote. This is not a budget vote. This is not to somebody get a committee assignment. This is about an attack on the United States government.
Right. Exactly right. And I'm told the senators were really caught by surprise at his using that kind of language and just how insistent he's been. One Republican source said to me, quote, no one can understand why Mitch is going to this extreme of asking for a personal favor to kill the commission. The source went on to say, how can you have an attack on the Capitol and the Republican leader is saying vote against it? The source ended by saying it is despicable. And John, our sources are suggesting that Mitch McConnell may really have been concerned that Mrs. Sicknick's visits today would sway some Republican senators.
When you say he was worried about that.
Yeah. So Bishop McConnell called in some favors and decided that he didn't want this to go on, and it was quite shameful. So today the vote was 54-35. We actually had 6 Republican senators who crossed party lines and voted against this commission. Those Republicans were Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Susan Collins of Maine, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Ben Sasse of Nebraska, and Mitt Romney of Utah, and Rob Portman of Ohio. So I wasn't surprised about either one of these Republicans, because these are Republicans that have actually supported the impeachment of Frumpy Dump, and they actually got censured. So for those, or at least they tried to censure, because they weren't successful with Ben Sasse, but they did censure Bill Cassidy and Mitt Romney. Now, Susan Collins actually surprised me a little bit, just a little, because during the impeachment trial, she actually asked some very serious questions about, sent down some very serious questions to the House impeachment manager when they were getting ready to go down for vote. So I want to know you guys' opinions. Why do you think that Republicans are so against this? And if Chuck Schumer does bring this down to the floor for another vote, do you think that it has a chance without the filibuster being abolished? Anybody?
I think one of the reasons that the Republicans are just so dead set against this is it reminds me of the Ray Charles quote. Remember him in the movie Ray, where he said, "Scratch a liar, find a thief." That's the vibe. Yes. That's the vibe this gives me. So all we know in the 50 years that Mitch McConnell has been a senator, all he has done is literally nothing. Literally, he has. I don't see in the history of him being a senator from Kentucky, one of the poorest states of the union, I don't see those people's lives being impacted in a positive way since he's been in office. Exactly. So what I think is really motivating this is money. Mm-hmm. All this is motivating money. All this money that keeps going into politics, all these secret phone calls and whatnot, and all this dark money, all these PACs. Mitch McConnell's job at this point is to make sure everybody stay paid. So these personal favors, I think, are from donors who are like, look, we need you to kill this. Look, we know all y'all are dirty, but we can't let them know we all know y'all are dirty. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I really believe that again, with everything that happened during the insurrection, and everybody on the right trying to downplay that, this all goes back. You can't tell me this all doesn't go back to money. Yes. And Susan Collins, she doesn't know if she wants to be for democracy or be rich. Yeah, she doesn't know. She's a live wire. She doesn't know if she wants to be. And I think isn't her seat about to be up anyway?
Yeah. Yes. I think she has to go up for a re-election in 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
So all this goes back to money. Mm-hmm. And it really, and I've said this on my platform before. The nation is really in a DV relationship. we are in the most dangerous part of the separation. We have now left the abuser.
Mm-hmm.
So now Mitch McConnell is going to do it in all in his power to make sure that everybody who is supposed to get paid is going to get paid. And he's going to do that by any means necessary. It's never been about blue lives. It's never been about democracy. It's always been about who can get paid.
I can agree wholeheartedly with that. Mitch McConnell, what I've noticed about him, and Angie, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject real quick. What I've noticed about him is that he gets a lot of money for his state. And what I mean by that, he gets a lot of money for their university. He gets a lot of money for infrastructure and different things like that. I think that the Republicans are really tied into this, what they feel like is going to be this trickle down effect. So they're thinking, oh, well, this money is going to hit me this day, or this money is going to come someday. We just have to wait for it. But it's never going to come. It's never going to come. This is how Mitch McConnell has been able to keep his grasp, is because one, he's what they're comfortable with. And number two, he's able to get all of this money. But again, it doesn't benefit them. It doesn't trickle down to them. It just stays there. Angie, you have anything?
So I absolutely agree with the money. I think money has such a huge part in it, because the reason why all this is happening is for them to get paid and not know how they're getting paid or who they're getting paid by. But I had said this on my platform this morning. I feel that the reason why they don't want this to happen is because there's a whole hell of a lot of them that are really guilty in this thing, and they don't want to freaking be caught. And that's exactly what it is. They don't want the light shown on them, because they were involved with this thing, and they're going to find out about it. And they're scared. They're running scared. That's exactly what they're doing right now.
I agree. That has a lot to do with it too, that they got their hands in the cookie jar. So they don't want that cookie jar to be empty, because they know that it's going to expose them. I agree with that wholeheartedly too. There is just an allegiance there. And the allegiance is not to the United States of America. The allegiance is to money and to frumpy dump Trump. And he doesn't want this investigated, because this is definitely going to lead back to him. The stink is going to definitely come from his taint. So, I mean, we have to just be honest about that. I don't think, and here's what I think about them Chuck Schumer possibly bringing this back down to the floor. There's really no reason for Chuck Schumer to do that. And the reason why there's no reason is because until they get rid of the filibuster, it's not going to go anywhere. Just like the George Floyd Policing Act is not going to go anywhere, just like the For the People Act. None of that is going to go anywhere unless they get rid of the filibuster. We cannot get Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema to do anything about it. We can't get them to sign on. The Republicans are a united party in that they're united in their love for Trump and their allegiance to Trump, and they want to grasp his base. But the Democrats are, obviously, we have two Democrats that are, I guess I would call them dinos. Like Trump says, rhinos, Republican in name only. We have two Democrats that I feel are dinos. They're Democrats in name only, because they're not supporting the bigger picture. To get rid of the filibuster is to advance progressively. It's to advance, but we're not doing that. You guys got anything else y'all want to add to that conversation?
As far as the filibuster is concerned, I really think that if you watch how Mitch McConnell worked, well, again, I've been following politics for a minute because my dad was heavily involved with it. That was his thing. So I had watched how Harry, I can't think of his name right now. The former, before the majority before Chuck Schumer took it. I can't think of his last name. And it's on the tip of my tongue too. But he said that it's the party of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That this is what they have sworn allegiance to. And again, it goes back to finding the money. It goes back to finding the money. And even with and that's gonna bother me now because I gotta look it up. But the fact that the nation itself is at this precipice of trying to move forward, of trying to bring everybody forward. And we have a legislative body in the Senate whose average age is over 50.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes into account also because there are people there who have no idea what it's like to be raising kids now, what things cost now, because all they have been doing is basically nothing for the past, nothing as it relates to the advancement of their particular state. Okay, Kentucky can get money, but that's great. But look what they're doing with the coal industry. They're still putting that dirty water into where people can into actual streams. And again, what we keep seeing is, as long as Mitch McConnell can keep a stranglehold on it, and as long as Democrats do not allow themselves to become more progressive, this is going to keep happening.
Exactly.
This is going to keep happening.
And somebody's letting you know that it's Harry Reid that you were speaking of.
Thank you. I could not. I saw his face, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Nina, because I was struggling. I'm like, I know his last name. I know exactly who it is, and I could not think of it. But Harry Reid is my favorite white man. I love Harry Reid.
Look, I couldn't think of who it was, so I was just sitting here looking at you, hoping that you would.
I was trying. Phone a friend, sis. Phone a friend. Thank you. Phone a friend.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely see what happens in that situation. If he brings it down to the floor at this point, there's going to be no changing anything. So I mean, there's no sense in it at this point. I mean, I understand Chuck Schumer wanting to assert his authority, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the votes, nothing will happen. And this is shaping up to be President Obama presidency, where we were unable to get anything done because we can't get anything past the House and can't get anything past the Senate. They can get it at the House, but not the Senate. So we got some work to do for 2022, definitely. The next thing that we'll talk about, we'll go ahead and switch gears here, and we'll talk about some good stuff. Frumpy Dump Trump and his investigation in Manhattan, in New York. So the Trump organization, Cyrus Vance and Letitia James actually announced on Wednesday that the investigation into Frumpy Dump, as we know, there's been an active investigation into Frumpy Dump and his organization for a while, but it was purely civil, I believe. It was taxations and stuff like that. But now this has turned criminal, and they're actually convened a grand jury. This grand jury is to meet for the next 6 months, 3 days a week, for them to present evidence, and they're expected to go beyond assembling records by hearing live testimony from various witnesses. Ivanka Trump has been deposed. She's been questioned. She actually lied and said she didn't know the CFO of Frumpy Dump's organization, which is Alan Weisselberg. She said she didn't know who he was. He's been working with Frumpy Dump for years, but she claims she didn't even know who he was. So that lets me know there's some guilt there. They're actually saying that this recent decision for Letitia James and Cyrus Vance to team up, and they're hiring veteran mafia prosecutor Mark Pomerantz. And this move and the move to the grand jury suggests that there is steady progression toward criminal charges against some person or the company or Frumpy Dump as a whole. So this is a hot mess. I actually have a little clip that I wanted to play for you guys so that we could kind of get the scope of what's going on with this. And y'all got to bear with me because this is my first time doing this. This was Indy's job. Give me just 1 minute. I'm going to put it right up.
We begin the readout tonight with explosive news out of New York in the ongoing investigation of the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, and the Trump Organization. In a breaking story late today, the Washington Post revealed that Manhattan's district attorney has convened the grand jury that is expected to decide whether to indict Trump, other executives at his company, or the business itself, should prosecutors present the panel with criminal charges. That's according to two people familiar with the development, one of whom says that it is likely that Trump-related testimony in the secret proceeding has already begun. Though it's not clear whether the grand jury will return any indictments, the development suggests that Vance believes he has found evidence of a crime, if not by Trump, then by someone potentially close to him or by his company. Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance has been investigating Trump since 2018 and is reportedly scrutinizing whether Trump's company misrepresented the value of his assets for tax or insurance purposes. That's also known as fraud. And no president of the United States has ever been charged with that or any other crime. So just the potential of that is a very big deal. Last week, we also learned that Cy Vance's team had joined forces with investigators from the Office of New York's Attorney General, whose civil probe has become a criminal investigation.
I love it here. I love it because it's time for him to pay consequence. And if anybody's going to make him pay consequence, it's going to be Letitia James. And I love it. He needs to pay for what he's done. Look, he really thought that he was going to run for president, and these people that he was just going to run for president. They weren't going to investigate the inner workings of his business. He was getting by before he ran for president and ran the damn country into the ground. So why even go through all that? I just don't understand that. He knows that it's like somebody who knows that like they're allergic to cheese or something or whatever. Like, I mean, or they know that they're doing something wrong. Why would you bring it to like the Capitol insurrectionists? You know that you're doing something wrong by invading the Capitol. So why in the hell would you go and put it on the internet? Oh, I'm at the Capitol putting pictures up. Why would you go and do that? It's like incriminating yourself. So he opened himself up to this investigation. He did this to himself, and now it's time to pay consequence. And I 100% believe that they're also investigating Rudy Giuliani. He's going to be involved in it. What's his name? Got a Steve Bannon. He got a pardon, but he definitely would have been involved in it if it wasn't for that. He could still be. If this is state charges, this isn't federal, so he could definitely be involved in some of this stuff. So I want to know what you guys think about the whole Frumpy Dump investigation. Angie?
Sorry, I was on mute. I always go back to, and I know that he's an acquired taste. Not a lot of people really like him, but Howard Stern said on the radio, he said that Donald Trump running for president, and if he wins, is going to be the biggest mistake of his life. He's got it made right now, and him doing this is going to be the biggest mistake of his life. And he was right. And he came back and said, I was right. I mean, look at what's happening right now. I bet the last time in my dark purse that this kid, Donald Trump, is going to be in an orange jumpsuit by the end of the year. That's what I bet. And that's I really think so.
And his kids are going to go with them. Don Trump Jr. is definitely going to be in it.
I
with
can't
him.
wait. I'm going to be clapping on the sidelines while they're all of them are brought in. Every single one of them.
Exactly. Jay.
First off, shouts to Letitia James and clearly and the Super Friends in the Southern District of New York. I am here for everything that she is doing. And as far as him getting arrested, I don't want to put the cart before the horse because we saw how Michael Cohen took the biggest L of his life for him. Mm-hmm. So I'm really watching to see how people around him are going to really react. But the thing that really gets me is, I'm a big fan of actually mafia movies, right? So I love Casino. And the thing is, they don't really get these people on murders or anything like that. They get them on the money. They get them on RICO. And again, I looked it up because clearly that's where I am today. And again, RICO stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. I really want to see exactly what they find because he has been at this for better than 30 years. And the thing is, white privilege is a hell of a drug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he thought he could get out here, do what he wanted to do, and no one would say anything because what? This nation was founded by white folk, for white folk. So now that you have now you have everything being exposed, everything being revealed, people snitching, and look, it's a whole lot of folks that have been quote unquote rich a long time that ain't built to be broke, that ain't built to go to jail. And all I get from from Orange Thanos' children, because that's why I call them. That's why I call them my portion of Beyonce's internet. Orange Thanos. Orange Thanos' children are not built for prison.
No.
I'm waiting for all of them to start flipping like sharks in bloody water. Who can we get? I think that Rudy, they're gonna get Rudy because Rudy is almost 80.
Yeah.
And his, he be leaking ink from his hair and stuff. So I think what's gonna happen is they gonna find the right person to flip and be like, look, this is what we have, this is what we know, and this is what we're gonna do for you. And I told someone close to me once when Orange Thanos got elected and everything was smoking with Robert Mueller and the report and Michael Cole, everybody was like dry snitching. I told this person, I said, all they need, I said to him, I said, you remember John Gotti? He was like, yeah, what about him? I said, they only got John Gotti because Sammy the Bull Gravano snitched on him. They told Sammy, like, look, you got kids, you have a wife, we can send you to jail. We know he did something, but we can send you to jail. Now you got to make a decision. Now, either you, I know y'all's code of silence says you're gonna have to do this, but this is what in these files, this is what we have on you. So we can prove that you did everything that we know you did, but everything that we need to get him, you got. So you got so if you can tell what he did, you can go on. That's really, Feds speak for be a fool if you want to. So I'm really waiting for who snitches, why they snitch, and how long it's gonna take them to snitch. One of my favorite people to follow on Instagram is actually Feminista Jones, who's a writer, and I recommend her for all occasions. And she said this when Orange Thanos got elected. She said watch Ivanka. She said Ivanka is a dangerous white woman. People in the comments were like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? I said, and she said because she is his favorite, and she know her daddy is ill. And Feminista Jones was saying that she would not put it past Orange Thanos to put everything in her name and walk scot free. Because all I've got from seeing these people in action the last 4 years and the years preceding that. One, they don't know what love is. They don't know what trust is. They don't know what. All they know is we gonna unite against going to prison. We gonna unite against these people who don't like us. So he really wants so bad to be Gotti, but you don't know how Gotti was moving.
Right.
There was a reason why the feds pushed Sammy was like and told him, look, we know he did all this, but we can't prove it. Exactly. But we can prove what you did. So you're gonna have to figure out if you want to be in jail the rest of your life and have this cat walk free, or you gonna get him. So that I think that's really what it's going to come down to. Like how much of this are you willing to take to say that you're loyal? Which I find ironic because the conservatives are forever saying facts over feelings, and this is country is what matters. No, what y'all are proving is everybody has a price and everybody can be bought. We just need to find out what your price is. That's what I think.
Exactly. I agree. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be the first one to flip. It's going to be interesting to see how much information leaks out during the this 6 months of this grand jury being convened. It's going to be a very interesting ride, and I'm going to be here for it all. And I'm going to report on it all because every time I see something about that, because he definitely needs to be held accountable for something. But like Jay said, I think the people around him in his camp are likely to be held accountable before he does, probably. But we'll definitely keep looking at it and see what happened. But it was a hot boo boo shitty mess this week, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll switch gears here, and we'll also we'll talk about some sad news that came that I think that is becoming so common now that we are I believe we're numb to it. There was another mass shooting this week. Shoot, I got the wrong piece of paper up here. There was another Oh no, you guys, that wasn't what I want to talk about next. Or was it? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. There was another mass shooting this week. It was on Wednesday in San Jose, California. Um, the authorities received a 911 call around 6:34 a.m. Wednesday morning about gunfire at the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, the VTA rail yard. Um, the gunman was turned out to be an actual employee. His name is Sam Cassidy. He was 57 years old. I will not be posting his picture here or anything like that. They're saying that he shot colleagues in two buildings, and it was around shift change when he did it, and then he took his own life. They said that the gunman picked which co-workers he would kill when he was in there. He actually isolated who he wanted to die. They said that there's about 2,000 people that work there, and the rail yard maintains the vehicles there. Security camera shows Cassidy arrived at the facility around 5:30, and he waited about an hour before he started shooting. And there was actually a fire at his house that was reported that morning too. Let's see. So they arrived at the shooting, and then they were there for about 6 minutes after when they got there, they were there for about 6 minutes before he shot himself. They're saying that there was no exchange of gunfire or anything like that, that once they got close enough to him, he was already deceased. So we're at another mass shooting. Yet again, it looks like we're having one at least once a week. We're having situations where people are going off and murdering people for no good reason at all, and Congress has not done anything. And I don't expect them to do anything. I don't think that they're going to do anything. I think that and this was said by Indy a few videos ago. She said, not Indy, but Delilah, if a bunch of dead children in a room, like Sandy Hook, if that didn't make them do anything, then killing a bunch of grown people and whoever is not going to make Congress move. And I would love to know you guys' thoughts on, America and gun violence, and how do you think we can move forward?
There's no way we can move forward without legislation. There's just no way. And I am the mother of school-age children. Now, when I had children, I'm part of that graduating high school class that remembered Columbine. So Columbine happened my senior year of high school. So in effect, I've grown up with this, but I never had to do an active shooter drill in my classroom.
Right.
There is no way for us to move forward with this with common sense gun control. Just common sense gun control. The one thing in speaking to people about this, on and off TikTok, is I do not understand. And just as Indy was saying, if dead children do not move you, nothing else will, because the people will say, it's my right to have a gun. That may be fine, but do you need an AR-15?
No.
Do you need something? Because all those things are for war zones, not for you hunting deer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But and the adage is now that we hear all over the internet. But if every black male started registering for a gun, we'd have gun control by Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And the thing that is so disconcerting about this is we are on some level numb to it. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to the place as a nation where this is just what we expect. We expect people to pop off because they get upset. Now, the one thing I would really want to know is why it is that this man was allowed to have X, Y, and Z weapon and come into this place. So clearly he had an alt against against these 6 people who he murdered, which
mm-hmm.
again goes back to common sense gun laws. Every other developed nation in the world has common sense gun control. Remember when there was a mass shooting in New Zealand? Within the scope of a week, they had banned the assault rifles. The prime minister had apologized, and they were working toward, like, we're never, that, like, this is never going to happen again. But what this nation loves to do is holler about how better we are than the rest of the world, when the rest of the world is looking at us like, no, y'all are raggedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the legislative body wants to have an attitude about being called to the carpet. There is something in this quote unquote American experience that tries to fortify your immunity to common sense.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is, there are too many people dying preventably. There is nothing wrong with you having having common sense gun control, other than the NRA being one of the biggest donors to Republican candidates. Again, it all goes back to money. The fact that and I've said this on TikTok a lot, and even in my personal writing space, the right just washes the blood off the money. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They will just wash the blood off the money. I was outdone when Sandy Hook. I'm like, I don't want to hear nothing else about, it's my right that I should have. I don't want to hear anything else about that. That child, that person, that monster walked into an elementary school and murdered children. How can you see that as a legislator, as a parent who's a legislator, and say, you know what, we gonna let this ride?
And Dylan Roof filed an appeal, which I expect him, as a part of, people need to understand, we shouldn't be appalled when people file appeals. I mean, it's going to happen because that's just the way it works. He's got sentenced to death, but he filed his appeal and he's using mental illness, and that his IQ level was not high enough to make an informed decision or whatever. At least that's what I saw in the court documents. He's using mental illness. And I'm so sick of people doing that. If people want to use mental illness as their reason why they go on tangents, then we should use mental illness as a reason to have stricter gun laws. I mean, that's just all it is to it. If they can use that to get out of a crime, then why can't we use that to prevent a crime?
Exactly.
I just think it's disgusting that we're in this place again. Angie, did you have anything you wanted to add on that, my love?
Just the same, tagging on to what they said. I have a son who's school aged, as well, and having to go in and check to make sure that the doors are secure enough for him to actually, be in the school. The fact that they have to go through active shooter drills, and the fact that they have to go underneath the desks, and they come home and they have to talk about it. And the whole entire theater shooting happened when I was actually pregnant with him, and I remember specifically being 8 months pregnant and sitting in the back of the movie theater because I was afraid of what would happen, because it was like a couple days after the shooting that we went to the theater. And I remember doing active shooting drills when I was in high school, because y'all are right. It's not going to end without legislation, and the legislation isn't going to go anywhere because it's run by white old men who want power and want money, and that's all that there is to it.
Absolutely. And it's very disheartening that we're in this space where people can be dying and then no one cares, and you can actually have someone to do something about it. If you feel like legislation is not going to work, then why not do it and try it? Why do we continue to do the same thing and expect a different result? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'll just say that we need legislation on that, and I'm gonna be praying for the families of the victims that passed away in this terrible crime that really was, in my opinion, preventable. So we'll move on here to our next subject. We have two more things, and then we're about done, you guys. We're doing good. Y'all doing really good, honey. I think this is Garden State's first podcast that she's been on. You're doing real, real good. I'm proud of you. Just had to say that real quick. So we're going to talk about, this week was the anniversary of George Floyd's murder. And his family actually visited the White House on Tuesday. They were taking pictures with Nancy Pelosi and taking pictures with President Biden. And yeah, they talked about, how they want to see change for, in as far as the George Floyd Policing Act getting passed. However, Cory Booker and Tim Scott, those two are negotiating for a bipartisan bill to make changes to the George Floyd Policing Act so it can be what they call bipartisan. I really hate when they say that because honestly, the commission was bipartisan and they still voted against it. They agreed to their terms and they still voted against it, but I digress. So they came out and made an announcement on Monday, Tim Scott and Cory Booker, and said that they were still negotiating this. So they're not going to make the deadline because President Biden had actually set the deadline of the anniversary of George Floyd's murder as the deadline for that to be passed. We all knew they wouldn't make it. So we're here. We have George Floyd. Derek Chauvin, who's been held accountable. I would say for what he did. I wouldn't call it justice. I would call it accountability. I've heard many people say that, and I have to agree with that sentiment. And we don't know what his sentence will be. I think that we're going to find out on June 25th what his sentence is going to be, but he's already filed an appeal. So we're here. We have no legislation. Black men are still being killed in the street. Black men, Black women, people of color are still being killed in the street by police for no reason. And we don't have any legislation or anything like that. And it's very disheartening that we're a year after we watched a man be murdered in the street and Congress does nothing. Why the hell do we pay these people? I just don't understand it, So I have a little clip here that I wanted to play from Mark Jamal Hill. I really like Mark, and he had some very good points here, and I just wanted you guys to see it in just 1 minute.
We don't just protest the death, we fight for change on the ground. Those young people who were in Minneapolis, they didn't just protest to get officers fired or people convicted. They fought to change the laws on the books. They fought to defund police. Those people in Kentucky didn't just fight for Breonna Taylor's life. They fought to stop no-knock warrants so there wouldn't be another person killed by the state in the middle of the night. This generation of activists is fighting and struggling. And George Floyd sparked it all. The trial of Derek Chauvin is just a signpost of what we have to go through. Even in the trial of the officer who killed him, we had to watch George Floyd criminalized. His family had to watch him look like the bad guy and the officer the good guy when the officer's the one who did the killing. We had to fight and scratch for every bit of justice we got. And the truth is, there is no justice here. Justice would be him being alive. What we got was accountability. Short-term accountability. But the fight for justice, the fight for accountability continues. On this day, we must commit and recommit. We must dedicate and rededicate ourselves to the cause of justice. Because like Mamie Till, who said, I don't have a minute to hate, but I will pursue justice for the rest of my life, we must pursue justice for the rest of our lives. George?
Yeah. So I agree with his sentiments there. I agree with everything that he's saying. We need to continue to fight. But I don't know how we fight. I just don't know why Congress is taking so long. They have that there. Joe Biden, we have to hold him accountable here and say, he's done nothing. He's done nothing on that. He hasn't done any executive orders. He hasn't done anything as far as policing. Only thing he said is, I'm urging Congress to pass the George Floyd Policing Act. Okay, you said that, but they're not doing it. So what are you going to do? And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, he can't do anything because he can't do any executive orders to stop it regarding policing because it's a state issue. Let me tell you something. He can do an executive order bringing back the race relation training that Frumpy Dump got rid of for these new police officers that are being in training and going to be on the streets. He can bring that back. He can also stop some of this funding that are given to these police departments whenever they have these situations where people are, being murdered by them. It's a smorgasbord of things that that President Biden can do to put some fire under their asses and say, we need to go ahead and get this legislation done. But until he does that, we have nothing. He needs to stop being so timid. He wants to work on both sides of the aisle, but at the end of the day, it's not fucking working because they're not fucking listening to him. So I would love to know you guys' thoughts on this being the anniversary of George Floyd's murder, and how do you feel like we can move forward in the future as far as policing?
As much as I love Mark Lamont Hill, I think he missed it just a little bit. We are not just more. I don't think that George Floyd was the spark. We as a community are still 70 years grieving Emmett Till. We are still crying and grieving and fighting from that. The thing that has happened, the murder that the entire world saw, that we all were still scared that these people really may not believe. These people may not really believe this. It's this incessant lie that white supremacy tells about black folk, that because he was there, because I was scared, because I'm white, y'all know how black people are, I had to subdue him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this incessant lie that drives legislation. It's this incessant lie that tells people, that tells timid white women to pull your purse in close because black folks steal. The thing that what I'm getting at, what I really want to convey is, we can, as hard as it is, as anger inducing as it is, as much as it makes people blood pressure go up, we cannot be silent. One of my favorite people in the world is Zora Neale Hurston, the writer. She said, if you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. The fact of the matter is that this new generation of activists have learned the playbook from our ancestors, yes, but they're also looking at what we're dealing with right now. SNCC and with Ella Baker, and even with what Dr. King was doing, what Malcolm was doing, they have seen that, and now we power that with social media. We now have the capability, even if quote unquote if we don't get justice, we have accountability. And I also think what's happening is it's a lot of reaction policing, because now a lot of these police are scared. So rather than, I really don't think you can train racism out of people. I think what happens when you confront racism is you literally give people a mirror. Like, do you really believe thus and so, and why do you believe thus and so, and this is why what you believe is incorrect. But this has always been a struggle for power, the struggle to keep the undesirables in their place. The fact of the matter, the thing that is scary is that Derek Chauvin is just the face of it. He is not essentially the problem. And the thing is, while George Floyd's murder was caught on camera, how many have we not seen on camera? One of my sheroes is Ida Bell Wells Barnett, and she went in the South during Reconstruction and during Jim Crow and reported and recorded just how and why black folk were being hung, were being lynched. It's not just the George the George Floyd bill. It's not just the police the needed legislation for police reform. It's not just the anti-lynching bill. All these things are the bastard children of systemic racism. It all flows back to that. And you want to know why people are angry? It's the same reason why black mothers and fathers still tell our children to be respectful of white officers when they stop them, because the goal is for you to come back to me. The goal is for me to give you enough information for you to negotiate this encounter and come back to me. This is great that the Biden administration, brought the George Floyd family in. That's great, but the time for performative activism is over. Mm-hmm. And as much as we're happy that Orange Thanos is no longer in power, What we really need is for President Joe Biden to be president. Because when it comes down to, you are the executive branch. Mitch McConnell can only do what you allow him to do. My thing has always been, it would have been more sensational had the Floyd family been there and he had signed the executive order to have this George Floyd bill go forward. This anti-lynching bill go forward. The time for performative activism is over.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I love the way you put that. It is time for performative activism to end, and let's see some action. It's been past time for that. It's I was cool with them going there too, but I was like, why? What's the purpose of it? It was nice for them to go, but it's not time for a photo op. It's time for some action. And you having them there to come and sit with you and have tea and crumpets or whatever, that was nothing. That was really nothing. And but I'm happy for them that they got that experience. But I mean, it was really for nothing. So hopefully we can get some movement. Hopefully we can get some change in America as a whole. We need to change America. We need to understand that we're a diverse country and we need to love each other. And if police officers weren't so afraid of people of color, then they wouldn't be, like she said, they wouldn't be killing us, and it's very sad that I have to teach my son when he gets old enough to drive, like she was saying, about how to deal with the police, versus Angie won't have to teach her son about something like that. So not to put you on blast or be mean, I just use that as an example.
I don't think that at all.
Okay. So with you guys, if you guys have any questions, let's go ahead and put them in the chat because we're coming to an end. This has been a really good show. I am very happy with the way it turned out, especially because this is my first time by myself. And I must say, I'm a little proud of myself right now. So let's see. The last thing that we'll talk about is, I was very surprised by this. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it, because people, when I posted this and when this happened, people were asking a lot of questions that shocked me. And I know that people use TikTok to learn and stuff, but I was just very shocked by when Corinne Jean-Pierre, she made her debut, coming out and coming out and performing in her capacity as Deputy White House Press Secretary. People thought that Jen Psaki was fired and that she was gone. They didn't realize that Corinne is actually her deputy. She's going to be there whenever Jen can. And I believe that Jen was actually there. But she just wanted her to come in and do her job. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Corinne, because she's actually an awesome person. And she is, I'm very proud of her. She's actually the second Black woman to ever stand behind that podium. Judy Smith was the first in 1991. She worked for the George Bush administration. And she's actually of Haitian descent. She was born and raised in Queens. She's educated at the, oh my goodness, I can't see. She's educated at the New York Institute of Technology, and she also went to the School of International and Public Affairs. She worked for the Obama administration. She worked for MoveOn.org as a senior advisor and national spokesperson for the 2016 presidential campaign. For a spokesperson for the 2016 presidential campaign. She also worked for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris during her campaign. And I'll actually show you guys a clip of something that happened when they were out and on the campaign trail and what made people started noticing Corinne. And there's a few people that remember this. Let me get to it. And let me tell you this, I had to record it a different kind of way because I couldn't find any way to download it. So it's going to look a little funny, but you can still see it. Okay.
Senator, on implementation of your first big idea on the gender pay gap. Not everyone works for a corporation. Yes. And a big, it's, hey.
Asking for your attention to a much bigger idea. Thank you so much, sir, for your big idea. But we want to make sure that we are able to get through this. Okay, it's okay, folks.
Baby, Corinne jumped up so doggone fast. Nobody had a chance to say anything. She jumped up so fast. So that's what made people started noticing her. But she is President Biden's deputy press secretary. You will see her in that capacity. I'm so excited for her. I was so excited for her. She's also openly gay. She actually is married or either dating. I don't know, it's one of the two, but it's a CNN correspondent that she's with, Suzanne. So I would like to know, you guys, what are your thoughts on the fact that we're in 2021 and this is a question that I'll never understand, how we have the presidential, administration for so long, and we're still in first. We're still getting first indigenous person to do this. We're like this week we had Christine Clark. That's the first woman of color, first Black woman to lead the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department. Civil Rights Division, the first woman. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We had oh my goodness, what is her name? You guys know her. New Mexico. Please help me. She's of indigenous descent. She's I forgot. Anyway, she's the first one to lead. She's a Native American, but she's leading the Native American division or whatever. She's been appointed by President Biden. I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. Somebody in the comments might remember, but I can't. Why are we still seeing these first? Like, why are we still in 2021 and still seeing first people? Why does America only think white men can do jobs? Nobody.
Well, I was gonna let Angie jump in first, but clearly, what I think goes into that is just look at who, quote unquote, the founding fathers were. The narrative of this nation has always been that white men have always done X, Y, and Z, and even from a minority standpoint, Black people only got the right to vote. Not even coming up on now 60 years ago. So we've always been kept from the halls of power because the goal of power, especially power by racism and white supremacy, is not. It doesn't concede and it does not share. So our goal, in quote unquote, the goal of white supremacy rather in that capacity is to disenfranchise anybody who could come after and change anything. Mm-hmm. The fact that now. Because again, women got the right to vote in 1920. Thank you to Mary Shad Carey for that, who was a Black woman who argued that on the House floor. Susan B. Anthony needed the numbers of women, Black and white, but it was a Black woman who actually defended women's suffrage. So we've always been a part of the conversation, but we've never really allocated that power in that space, because according to the rules of white supremacy and racism, we can't have that because we're always being seen as lesser. Mm-hmm. And nothing as it relates to progress has been done without struggle. Mm-hmm. And again, so now you have, the fantabulous, Corinne, Simone Sanders, I think is the press secretary for Madam Vice President. Mm-hmm. I love Simone D. Sanders, and they keep knocking Madam Vice President like she shouldn't be as smart as she is in the capacity that she's in. We're still mm-hmm. we're still seeing these first because now we're in the room formally. We're not just serving the tea. We're not just a blip on the radar. We are now formally in the room, even when we have to push one another in there. Like, girl, okay, I know they hiring, but you go. Because I can't apply yet. Girl, I know they talking about this. You go apply for it. Or let's get together and we're gonna figure out how we can get so and so elected. We're gonna pool our money together and donate. We're now formally a part of the conversation. We're not a footnote anymore. And again, the old dogs of politics don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle indigenous women who are now part of the conversation, whom have always been here, whom have always taken care of land and people. And thanks to the American Indian movement in the 70s, thanks to Angela Davis, who said that if anybody in this nation can identify with Black folk, it's Native American indigenous peoples. So we keep seeing these first because now we fought at our, not even just our place at the table. We fought to build the house.
Right, exactly.
It's not to see the table anymore. We have fought to build the house, from the land to the doors to the windows to how many floors it is to how many people can come in. We have now fought for that. And you cannot reason with people who want to eradicate you, but you can outvote them. You can't outmaneuver them. You can't be strategic on who you network with, why you network with them, and push them forward and hold them accountable. Yes, we know the hashtag. We know the hashtag was settle for Biden. Okay, that's great. Now that we got this part, that the job is not over.
Correct.
Yes, he's in there. That's fine. We got 4 years to figure out what we're gonna do. But these people are plotting right now to take 2024.
Exactly.
So in the way that we begin to beat these people back is by bringing more minority voices forward. By again building these houses, not just because I'm done building tables. I'm building houses now. I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm building houses, tables, chairs, couches. I'm installing furnaces because there's work to be done, and we can't do that in a vacuum.
See, this is the type. I need you guys to listen to me. Who's in here? This is the type of education that you get on Jay's page. When you go to her page, this is what you get when you go over there. She will take a video that I've made just giving the news, and she'll break it down like she just did. I don't know if you guys enjoy that, but I enjoy when she does that. That's how I started following her and stuff, because I saw her break down some things. She's always quoting books, and it's lovely. So if you're not following what Jay said, and also Garden State Angie, if you're not following, make sure that you go and do it, because she gives some very good information on her page, and I'm not kidding. I don't get to duet a lot of content, and I really need to start doing that, because I really need to lift Jay up, because this is the kind of stuff that we need to hear. I love the way she breaks things down and the way she does. So I'm very happy that you're here, and I love the way you just broke that down for us. You guys, oh, somebody's giving you a compliment. Let's look at it. Aww. Isn't that so sweet?
Thank you.
So you guys, and they're plotting for 2022 is what they're trying to take the House and the Senate in 2022. So we got to definitely move with that. If you're in here and you're in Atlanta, please go and make sure that you check out Marcus, that is running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you're in her district, make sure that you do that, because that's very important. I've asked him to be on my show, so hopefully I can get him to come and be on my show, so he can talk about himself a little bit. But anyway, we're here at the end of the show, you guys. We talked about everything. It's been a blast being here with you guys. Jay, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you for joining me, even though you were on the run. I appreciate it. Angie, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. You've been lovely and a joy, and just like I thought that you would. I really appreciate you. If to all of the people that are here watching, if you guys want to help me tip my guests, because I do tip my guests. They come here for an hour, and I tip them for their time. Please make sure you go Venmo or Cash App me, so that way I can tip, give my guests a little tip for coming. It's just a little small tip. I'm broke. I ain't got no money. But if you guys would like to help me give my guests a tip for coming on and spending this hour with us and sharing their knowledge with us, we want to appreciate them for that. So make sure you do that. You can do that at Doubledeemuva 85 on Venmo, and then you can go on my TikTok and look at my link tree. Anybody have any questions? Any questions? I don't see any. And I'm going to leave out. I don't see any questions Somebody said they love us. Thank you, Bam. Aww, I love you guys. You guys are great. Y'all support me in everything. I freaking love y'all. I have a video that I want to play. And y'all, real quick, I know y'all a little proud of me because I'm doing this by myself. Like, I really been doing good except for that little snafu that I had when somebody was talking and I accidentally brought my own face up. But anyway, I digress. So I'm just going to leave you guys with this little clip of Corinne doing her first conference. After that, you guys can hang up. When it's done playing, just disconnect, okay? Don't disconnect playing. Don't disconnect until after it's done playing. I'm going to leave you guys with this little clip of Corinne talking about her experience at doing the podium or whatever, the White House podium. Thank you guys for joining me. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye, you guys. And come back next week. I will have, I believe Adios and Maria is on. Is June 4th next week? Yes. Adios Maria is coming on. So you guys come and join us. It's going to be great. Bye.
A bit of a personal question. Your presence here today is making history. You are the first Black woman to stand behind that podium, speaking on behalf of the president in 30 years. Just wondering if you could share your reflections with us.
Well, thank you for the question. You know, it's a real honor to be standing, to just be standing here today. It doesn't. I appreciate the historic nature. I really do. But I believe that, being behind this podium, being in this room, being in this building is not about one person. It's about, what we do on behalf of the American people. Clearly, the president believes in representation matters. And I appreciate him giving me this opportunity. And it's another reason why I think we are all so proud that this is the most diverse administration in history. But again, this is not about me. This is not about any of us. And, anytime I'm behind here, and I think you've heard Jen say this as well, we are going to be truthful. We're going to be transparent. And that's the way I believe the president would want us to communicate to the American people. Thank you for the question.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Bye.